Yeah, I guess we'll just jump right into it. Onto the first questions.
Yeah.
I've been super excited, discovering your music over the past couple years. When I think it was Adam, aka Bedroom, he sort of introduced me to your music when Tundra came out, probably, or maybe a little
Okay.
bit before that. Maybe when the slowed versions of
Verão. It's the Portuguese word for summer, and a lot of people don't know how to pronounce it. I'm Portuguese, so like
oh,
that
okay.
kind of thing clicks with me. But you could say Verão, like whatever you want, or you could say the summer record.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you for pronouncing it because I would have pronounced it wrong.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I probably would have heard it around then, and your slowed tracks are some of my favorite. And yeah, I just feel like you're making some of the more interesting post rock music to come out recently, at least like modern post rock. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Um, but I would like to just jump right into sort of your history. You mentioned just a little bit ago that you were in bands previously and stuff. Is that mostly what was happening before Secret Gardens?
Yeah. My first band with some friends of mine, and it's technically a band that I'm still in. It's just very like sporadically active. We're called Here's to You,
Oh,
and
cool.
we've always been kind of like a pop slash indie rock slash alternative outlet. And yeah, those guys are just like longtime high school friends of mine, and we've always been putting out music like over the years, or just playing a random show every now and then. We used to be more like of a full time kind of thing, but eventually we kind of got to a splitting off point where the other guys wanted to do like other careers, and I really still wanted to do music. So at that point, that's when I joined a band called Vista, which was more of a dark pop slash alternative rock type of thing. It was a duo, and then for a brief moment at the end, it became a trio. And that was like my main thing from 2016 to last year, 2020. We announced a hiatus, and and then Secret Gardens was first released while I was in Vista. It was
Hmm.
kind of just like a outlet for some other creativity I had, and that was 2019, summer of 2019, that Secret Gardens had its first like release. And like I told people like, hey, this is like another little project of mine. And then after Vista was kind of on its way out, Secret Gardens became like my main thing, and I really started to get a lot more ideas for it and like what to do, and just became more inspired by stuff. Because not to like continue with this question on like even further, but like ever since like the Here's to You days, the earlier days, like I don't know, 2015, 16, I always had this idea that I wanted to make an album for each season,
Oh, amazing.
uh, whether it was with that band or with any other thing. And then eventually, like Secret Gardens became like the perfect outlet for that. So that's like what I'm doing right now.
Oh, amazing. So yeah,
Awesome.
that first EP was you said summer, and
Mhm.
now Tundra's winter, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And so are you
And
working on spring and fall now, or?
yeah, yeah. I uh, I won't say which one is next,
Okay, amazing.
but I am entering the studio in about 2 weeks with Joseph Arrington. He's in my opinion, he's like a world class drummer, like probably the best drummer I know or will ever know. He's played with a bunch of bands in that kind of swancore scene, like Dance Gavin Dance type
Oh,
music.
cool.
Yeah.
He's played he plays with members of Dance Gavin Dance in like Royal Coda is one of his bands. He was in that band a lot, like Birds.
Oh, wow,
He's
really?
if you look up his if you look up and listen to his drum catalog, it's just absolutely insane. He's an absolute great friend of mine that I've had the pleasure of connecting with over the past year or so, and I'm really excited that we got to work on music together, because this next album that we're recording in a few weeks, we actually wrote together.
Oh,
I
wow.
went down to Nashville where he lives, and I had a bunch of demos and ideas and stuff, and we fleshed them all out and even wrote new songs in a room together, and then like
Wow.
that was the record. Um, yeah. So yeah, I've been playing music a long time, and there's been a lot of projects, but this is definitely something I'm really happy to have and call my own. And it's like, yeah, something I'm really stoked about. And it's like I don't have to rely too much on other people, but when I do, and we can collaborate, it's like super fun, because it's so much less like like stressful and taxing, because when you're in a band with other people and they're not really on the same page, it's like you put your necks on the line for each other, and it's
Yeah.
kind of hard if you don't agree.
That's what Brady's always said. Like, he's always loved the idea of being in a band, but
But
then
I can't do it.
yeah, like the
You
actual
know.
idea of
Yeah.
constantly having to rely on someone to give the okay or go ahead or like just
Yeah.
agree with what you want to do.
I'm too hard-headed with my ideas. I just can't stop. I don't know why. I don't
guess
know what it is.
Collaborating's the good in between there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it sucks because there are people who, like, a seldom couple people that I really met, like, vibe with in that way, but it's such a far and few between connection.
Yeah.
Recently, actually, to just answer this question fully, I've had like a bunch of other collaborations and projects, but now in the past few weeks, I started a new project with friends, and this is more of like a math rock kind of thing.
Amazing.
We're called
Cool.
Just Solely. We just released our first song, but I don't think it's going to be like a super busy active project. It's just like a few friends of mine who we all grew up loving bands like The Fall of Troy, and like I was saying before, like Dance Gavin Dance and stuff like that, and in that era of like music. So we started making stuff like that, and I know because everyone else is busy with other stuff and other projects, but I don't know. I really want to release more songs and get them done as quickly as we can, and we'll see. Maybe one day it'll change. We'll be like a really busy thing, but yeah, for now, Secret Gardens is like the main thing I focus on.
Amazing. Yeah, and so you've already mentioned like swancore and math rock, and you make post rock. I guess you can classify it as that. Is that what you typically listen to most of the time, or?
I listen to so much stuff. Yeah, it's recently I've been really digging the. Man, this is hard to talk about because I have like so
Yeah.
many musical moods, and
Yeah.
just to like drive the whole concept home, I really have heavy, excuse me, I really have heavy associations with music and weather and climate and like the season thus forth. So like I have certain like genres and bands I'll only listen to when it's like cold out. Like I live in New York and I've grew up in New York my whole life, so I like have 4 seasons, and it's super like I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, I have like heavy associations with like weather and like what kind of music I like here. But then there's stuff I could listen to all the time. But yeah, no, I like everything from like metalcore, like crazy shit to like ambient stuff, like the stuff you make, and like I love like straight up pop music. Like one of my top albums ever is like the sophomore Carly Rae Jepsen album.
Oh,
I love
Okay,
her
amazing.
to death. Yeah, she's like my favorite. It's like pretty varied. I definitely don't listen to too much country, like at all.
Yeah.
And I love rap too. Yeah. So I'd say it's pretty eclectic.
That's awesome.
For sure. Yeah, I really like the way you answered that, because
Yeah.
even when people ask me that, I do the same thing. I'm like, what do I normally listen to? I don't even
It's
know.
everything.
And I feel bad when I ask other people that, but it makes for
No, it's
interesting
okay.
conversation. But yeah, I guess, yeah, it depends on the weather, the climate, and everything. I think we go through that too, for the
Yeah.
most part. I think we all have similar taste in music, I
Yeah.
think, for the most part.
Even with the not really country situation, like
Yeah.
not a,
Yeah. I just generally can't get behind stuff like that.
Yeah.
It depends though. Like old school country, like Johnny Cash stuff is tight.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like most of the modern like bro country shit,
I
I'm just
know.
just could not care
I
less about it.
agree.
Yeah, I think I just wasn't introduced to it properly. I think that's the issue. If there was if there was a connection there, I think that's all music taste is just early connections growing.
For
right?
sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wasn't introduced to it early on, so that's just not my thing. I'm more of a rock.
Yeah, no,
rock
I
metal
totally
guy.
understand if it has like a nostalgic place, like growing up, like, oh, me and my dad used to listen to this like on the farm while we used to like, like I don't know, play football with each other
Yeah.
and stuff like that's I understand that romanticization a lot, but
Mhm.
it just never happened with me.
For sure. And so since we can't really find much about you online, I guess because you're pretty the project is in early stages still, even though you're growing very fast to me.
Yeah.
Even though it might not seem like it to you or whatever, but
Thank
But
you.
when we looked it up, we were like, wow,
yeah, like
only been 2 years and
exactly.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That's humbling. I don't feel that way at all.
I guess like because I didn't know that you had been in other bands, so I'm wondering if there's a connection there. Like maybe you have fans from that band that have followed you over.
I think I do. Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit. Not like a crazy 100% overlap, but
No, but
it's I definitely just met so many like kind people who just like gave so much more than they should have ever given to
Aw.
me when I was in Vista. And also with Here's to You time, every now and then, but definitely Vista, because Vista was more of a band that toured,
yeah.
sort of a semi-national regional act. We weren't playing huge shows, but we were touring and we were meeting people. And it was like, just, yeah, when you like, I don't know if you've ever toured or anything like this, Brady, but like, or even Chantal, like, just sometimes like people treat you so nicely when they know you're trying and you're like in a small club and there's like not many people at the show, but they're all really liking it. Like people can be so kind in
Yeah.
situations like that. It's been so nice. And yeah, I've just met like lifelong friends from that kind of stuff. And I really try to keep in touch with everybody
Oh wow.
as best I can from those kinds of days and stuff. But yeah, there is some overlap, but also people like Ronnie from Where Post Rock Dwells have been so nice to give me like a chance on their like platform. I
Oh,
don't know if you're
cool.
familiar with their channel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
on YouTube.
yeah, like stuff like that has helped a lot for sure.
Hmm.
And then some other friends I've made along the way from just like the small kind of post rock community that there is. It's super neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say is like, coming up in ambient and post rock and stuff. Like it's not a huge genre, especially right now. Maybe ambient is at this point in time, but
Hmm.
post rock, like it's such a small community, like you said. It's just really cool, to see you coming up the ranks in it and all this stuff. Because hearing the first EP and stuff, I was like, this is the guy, and he's sick.
Yeah.
Make sure to keep on him, and keep
Thank you.
listening. But I want to know how you came up with the name Secret Gardens.
That's awesome question because like I know how to explain it, but I sort of don't, if that makes sense. So basically, I guess this stems from like when I was in Vista, I was very focused on that and we like definitely put like 100% forward. And I really didn't want to detract from what we were doing for various reasons. But I did have this like collection of songs, which would be the first record that I worked on in secret. And so that kind of was in my head. And then I guess the gardens part just kind of came to me one day. I do a lot of hiking to get inspiration. I've basically, like, without like sounding cocky, like I've hiked a lot in a lot of really cool places, mostly around the US. And that's like one of my, being 27 now, I kind of have like found the things I really like in life for the most part. I mean, I'm sure there's room for other stuff, but that's definitely something that I don't think that'll ever go away. Just how much I enjoy like being out in nature and hiking, and being an older person now, realizing like how much that does for me.
Yeah.
So I guess that's sort of where the garden part came from. But I know like secret garden is like a term. It's like a book or something. It's like something that people have heard of before, like those two words strung together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the plural was just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Just makes
perfect.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's amazing. Yeah, I love that you actually use, the fact that you're writing in secret as part of the
Yeah.
name. I think that's really
Yeah.
cool.
I told no one.
It's amazing. That's how I started too. For the most part, I told Chantal
Yeah.
and a couple friends. But other than that, when I was making music, I tried not to tell anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to talk more about the hiking because
Yes, I would too.
I love
Yeah.
hiking too.
I could talk about it all day.
Have you
all
been
day.
to the Adirondacks?
I was just about to ask.
Yeah, I mean, in New York,
Yeah.
I just grew up pretty much around the Adirondacks, so at
Oh,
various
wow.
points,
Awesome.
I used to have a house upstate, before my parents split and like sold the house and stuff, I spent a lot of time up there in the Catskills,
Oh
Adirondacks,
wow.
and whatnot, and it was super great. And yeah, you guys are East Coasters? Where are you located?
We're in Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So we just recently found the Adirondacks.
Yeah, right before the pandemic, pretty much.
And we went down. We only went down once for a week, and we were like, we need to come back here every year. And then
Yeah.
the pandemic happened.
Yeah,
I loved
shit,
it,
And
though.
I've just been like wanting so badly to go back because in Ontario
Yeah.
there's not really any mountains. Like
Not
there's
at all.
so our hikes are
Right.
like just walking through a forest,
Yeah.
which is nice and I
Right.
love it. But the mountains, there's
Right.
something
Yeah,
different
no,
there.
I totally understand the lust for like mountains and stuff, and
Yeah.
the Adirondacks are super cool. They're like, from a geological standpoint, they're like old mountains, so they're kind of like rounded out, and the elevation isn't as high on a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so much cool stuff on the East Coast. But then like going to the West Coast, I was just like, oh my god, because I lived out there for 6 months this summer, at this seasonal job, like while I was waiting for the pandemic to kind of like be over and like live music to come back.
Okay.
Yeah, there's just so much cool stuff in the U.S. and the Canadian Rockies are super cool too, like Banff and
Yeah.
Jasper.
We
I
haven't
haven't
explored
been up
those
there.
enough.
Yeah, I haven't been up there, but I basically lived like almost right there, because I was working in Glacier National Park in
Oh, wow.
Montana. Yeah, that was in Montana, and that's where I was working this summer. So it's like just the stuff I would see, just like
Yeah.
incomprehensibly cool.
Is there somewhere near where you live now that you like go to a lot to find inspiration? Like in terms of hiking?
There are spots on Long Island where I live now, that I really like, but they definitely aren't like mountainy. They're just kind of like beachy and like beach with forest near it. Just kind of like lush East Coast stuff that
Yeah.
that definitely inspired the summer record. And actually, it's funny, the first Secret Garden song I ever wrote, it was "Breathe In." I don't know if you know that song or not, but I remember I was in Acadia, which is in the coast of Maine,
Mhm.
which is actually probably not too far from where you guys are at. It's a super, super, super pretty place, and yeah, I remember coming up with that riff, that like progression, but it was just a very like lush East Coast environment that you don't get it on the West too much, but yeah, the Appalachian type like hilly mountains definitely inspired all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
It's actually a really interesting point. Like, I think you hear a lot about East Coast versus West Coast in hip hop and rap and stuff. You know, the different types
Yeah.
of sounds and stuff. But I guess it really is like a different sound with everything.
Yeah.
East Coast versus West Coast. Just the inspirations are different. You know, like
Mhm.
what you see around is different, right? So I guess anything is gonna look and sound different. But
Yeah.
I'd never considered that in our type of music and stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy because like I always like was thinking in my head like, wow, they really did name it like the Wild West, like when I was out in the West. But I actually haven't spent. I mean, I've spent time on the West Coast, like San Francisco, LA, like Big Sur, Portland, Seattle. Like I've been to all those places and stuff. But where I really found a lot more inspiration for the project was like the West Rockies and just
Okay.
down there, and Utah, and yeah, like Utah, Montana, Wyoming, Arizona, like so much crazy cool stuff in like every part of the country. And yeah, I would never want to say that any state is like bad and has nothing, because I have not been to every place in every state. But yeah, there's just like there's so much inspiration for me. It's like kind of crazy when I think about all of it. And yeah, it's everywhere, and it's just really all nature based, honestly.
For sure. Yeah, I guess the closest place we've been to like Utah and, you know, that rocky area is we went to Colorado.
Yeah.
Just for a weekend though, so we didn't get to really explore too much.
But that was nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was amazing. It was
How'd the elevation treat you guys?
It was wow. We had never
Yeah,
felt anything like
I
that
know
before.
it was really in my ears. I could really feel the
Yeah,
pressure.
Yeah.
crazy. It feels like the life's being sucked out of
Yeah.
you, right?
Yeah. And just the fact that it was so dry and everything,
Yeah.
it was really surreal to feel, because we had only been to damp areas,
Yeah.
here where we are, New York and
In
Iceland
Iceland, yeah.
is essentially.
Oh, dude,
So,
Iceland seems sick.
oh, Iceland's the
Yeah.
best place in the world.
Yeah, we've been there twice now. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
I gotta freaking go there. I'm gonna have to hit you up for recommendations whenever I
Yeah.
go there.
Oh,
I heard it's like
absolutely.
really cheap to get there and but really expensive there.
Yeah. I mean, kind of like anywhere, right? We never really ate at restaurants or anything. We always just grocery shop wherever we
Yeah.
go.
And then we would get an Airbnb and
Yeah.
Okay.
It was everything there is pretty much double the price of
yeah.
US and Canada.
Right.
Like you'll go to a Subway to get a sub and it's technically $30,
Yeah.
Wow.
it's crazy. But
Yeah.
that's why you go to the grocery store and pick up some peanut butter banana sandwiches.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I know that life. Yeah, I just started getting into backpacking this year,
Nice.
Oh, amazing.
with the whole like living in glacier thing, and that's been pretty gnarly and fun. Like, you have to like learn how to like live without any of the stuff we take for granted every
Yeah.
day, like electricity, shelter,
Yeah.
warmth. It's pretty nuts. So even that like fragility of life has inspired my music, and yeah, it's funny because you hear like, oh, nature inspires my music so much, and you think it's like, oh, really pretty, like some stuff that I have, like I don't know, Breathe In is a really pretty song, but then there's songs like Squall, which
Mhm.
are inspired by how fucking terrifying it is.
Yeah.
And I try to like be fair and encompass all of it, because it's also, I mean, I don't know, much like any human, like you have really like intense emotional moments and then some more calm, beautiful ones. Like life is just this crazy cycle of emotions and other stuff, and so is nature, honestly. So
Yeah.
I kind of try
Yeah.
to like paint that picture.
I love that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love the way you think about that. It's really interesting. It's very unique too. Like you said, most people just say, "Oh yeah, I'm inspired by nature,
Yeah.
and that's why I make pretty things." But yeah, I love that you're taking it on from
Like
every
to
aspect.
a deeper level, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
so I'm really curious about your sort of reimagined and slowed down songs. I want to know
Hmm.
when you started doing that and why.
Like what's the
Like,
inspiration behind it?
yeah, I love them.
Yeah.
I like
Oh,
them,
cool.
maybe even some more than the originals
Mhm.
sometimes.
That's totally cool. I'm happy you like anything, honestly.
But yeah, how did that start? Where did you come up
uh,
with that?
well, it's hard to say because this doesn't just stem from my previous band, but I just try to do. Basically, if I were to sum it up, like I, as an artist now, like making all my own decisions for this project, and just it's basically just whatever I want to do. It's the
Mhm.
same with Alaskan Tapes. Like I try to just do the stuff that I like that other artists have done, if that makes sense, as a
Okay.
Yeah.
jumping off point. So I'll see Tycho, who's probably one of my top like 5, 10 favorite artists. I'll see Tycho throw out these like reimagined and remixed versions of stuff. And like, yeah, he's kind of electronic influence, which makes sense with electronic influence. But then I was just like, why can't a post rock artist do that? Like, why not?
Yeah.
Let's just reimagine this song. And it's like a really cool window for collaboration too. I actually have a reworked version. Technically, it's a reworked version of Tough Conversations coming out in December by my friend Tom, who has a project called Rubix and Transatlantic Alliance.
Mhm.
But he didn't even like. He took the stems and sort of did stuff with them, but then just made his own versions like of piano with the melodies. It's like an ambient version
Oh wow.
of Tough Conversations. It's really interesting. It's actually akin to more of your kind of stuff, like the Alaskan Tape stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what you'll think of it. Even though I didn't physically produce the Redux version, is what we call it. It's really cool. It's really a neat thing that I like to do. And I guess to answer your question, where it came from, I don't know. So I saw other artists like doing stuff like that, which I really liked, but I also just it's like a cool new way to like not like rehash content, but to breathe new life into a new song, and I like
Yeah.
doing that sometimes.
Yeah.
And the slowed down versions is it's so awesome that you connect with that, because I really thought no one would care about it. Like straight up, I said I think in the post when it like got announced, I know it was like I was like, I don't think anyone will care about this, but I like these, so here you guys go. Like, but yeah, I was messing around in Pro Tools. Do you use Pro Tools at all?
No, but I know how to use it. I have in the past. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Um, and for this is kind of insignificant, but I went to school for audio engineering,
Oh,
so
Mhm.
that's
cool.
why I've been like I have a bachelor's degree in that stuff, so that's why I've been like pretty much doing most of my own stuff for years now. Um,
Nice.
yeah, so in Pro Tools, there's this like neat trick if you have a keyboard, not like a laptop keyboard, like a full like USB keyboard, or if you're on PC with a keyboard, like this weird like hotkey to access one of the scrubbing tools, and you let it play. This is like kind of nerdy stuff, but it plays it at like third speed, 2/3 speed, like various different like intervals,
Yeah.
based on the number pad on the right. And I just had this songs in a Pro Tool session one day. I don't know why. I must have been doing something with them, but it's weird because I don't know why I had them in a Pro Tool session, because I made them on Ableton. I made everything on Ableton.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had them in there, and then I pressed that hotkey, and I like heard a bit of one of the songs slowed down. I was like, "Wait, that actually kind of sounds awesome."
Yeah.
And then like later that day or week, I was just like, "What if I just like put a few of those songs together?" And then I did, and I was like, "Yeah, I mean, here you go. If you like it, cool. If not, skip. Don't listen to this release." But yeah, no, people ended up liking it. I thought it was dope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
think I
amazing.
think it's so cool. Like I just never would have like even thought of that. What I used to do a lot of the time was like in the middle of a track, slow it down
Mm.
slowly until it gets to like a ambient breakdown, I guess.
Mm.
Oh, that's dope.
Um, and then speed it back up to end the track. But doing it for the whole thing, I just thought was so cool.
Well, it reminds me a lot when we were watching a lot of the Bon Iver live videos.
Yeah.
He kind of reworks his own songs, but he doesn't have them released, which makes me so sad. So, like,
Oh,
if you look
really?
on YouTube, it's Calgary. He completely reworked it, and it sounds so beautiful, but it's
Yeah,
so different
completely
from the
different.
original.
So
I feel like there was another song that he did. Well, he does that with Heavenly Father because that one's not even released. So there's like 5 different versions of it. And honestly, I love it. I love when there's different versions of the same song because, like you said, you're breathing new life into it and like you just get to hear it in a different way.
Yeah, and it's great. Like you said, as an artist, it's really hard to, consistently come out with stuff,
Yeah.
So any valid excuse to sort of rehash a song or reuse it in some way, I think is really smart.
And it can
do.
give you inspiration for what you want to make next, too, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can see how people react to it and stuff. For
Yeah,
sure.
I thought it's everything you guys are saying is so true. To add more points onto it, it's super great to like actually like the song in a new way yourself again. And then another thing is like the collaboration aspect of it that you can do sometimes when you're doing like remix versions is super dope. Like one of the first remixes I did was I don't know if you know the band Tides of Man, but Spencer from that band
Yeah.
he like reimagined Breathe In, and like I was like, oh, this is so cool, like I've never heard it this way. And just like getting to work with someone else on it,
Yeah.
it's like super dope. And then like I would love to work on something with you like that, Brady, like
Absolutely.
whether one way, my way, your way, my way, whatever. Like it'd be super dope to just like play around with each other's stems of recordings. Like that'd be super dope.
Yeah, for sure. And I've actually kind of been getting into that too. I recently reworked a folk artist named Jack and Water, which was really fun. Just putting my spin on it and making it sort of ambient in sections and stuff where normally it's just acoustic guitar and vocal.
That's so dope.
And it's so much fun just getting out of your element and using what somebody else has written, to continue off of. I think it's so sick. Yeah. Yeah, it's so fun. But so you're working on your first live show for Secret Gardens, right?
I am. I've been actually working on that all day.
Aw.
uh, because it's kind of crazy. I've played a lot of shows in my life, and I'm trying to just take the best elements of all those like projects and things I've played shows with, and just like try to turn it into like a show worth seeing. Um, so I really felt it was right to make the first Secret Garden show be like worth it, like special, like not just like, hey, it's my first set. Which I mean, I don't know, it's totally fine if you do that and you just want to gig all the time and play all the time because like it's fun to play live. Like I totally get it, but I just have this like, I don't know, this is like a blessing and a curse, but I just like wanted to make it really sick.
Yeah.
So I'm playing Tundra front to back for my first show ever. I have such awesome resources from like friends and various years of like touring and stuff, and I'm really lucky to have like a band behind me, drummer, other guitarist, bass player to like bring the tracks to life as they were like fully intended. And I've been spending a little extra cash like investing in the live show, like in lights and production. So what I've been doing for the past few days, actually, I just picked up these really awesome like professional grade strobe lights, and I'm like, and I also had these other like light poles that I have from Vista those days.
Hmm.
So I've been using those in tandem and like getting everything like programmed and coded to the music. I've been using Ableton and QLC Plus to do it.
Yeah.
And I did not go to school for lighting. I know virtually nothing. The language of like DMX is like so different to me, but I've just been kind of like researching it and like having at it. But now I actually have everything like hooked up in Ableton, so I drag MIDI notes in and like the lights like light up. Like
That's amazing.
yeah, it's pretty awesome. Like the various intensities and what you can actually like control it with the velocity of the notes. It's pretty really sweet
Wow.
and awesome. But yeah, so now I'm going through every song in the set and making a light show to it, essentially, if that makes sense.
That's amazing. I love that type of stuff, like just adding on to your music and making it that much better. Like technically you don't have to do that, but the fact that you want to
No.
It
is
makes
really
the
cool.
show so much better. It really
Yeah.
does.
I
Yeah.
agree. Like
Yeah.
my dad came down here before. It was like looking at what I had so far, and he was like, I just saw his face light up, and I was like, oh yeah,
Aw.
this is gonna be sweet. Like he's gonna love this. Like
That's awesome.
I love when my dad comes to a show and he's like really enjoying it. It's fun.
That's amazing.
cool.
This conversation reminds me, there's a video on YouTube. Are you familiar with Meshuggah?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it's just a video of the light guy playing Bleed, but he plays it with MIDI, like a MIDI controller. So
Oh,
he
yeah.
does it by hand, all the lights.
That's
So
so
he's following everything, and oh my god, it's amazing.
Dude, you have to send me that. I actually really want to watch that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
tomorrow or today.
I will right after this. It's so funny.
That's-
Like
Oh.
he's more talented than some of the musicians up there. It's so funny.
Dude, I've only seen a handful of artists take out a lighting tech who will just like just do it all by hand, like play it and
Yeah.
like use a member playing with them. Oh, that's so cool. I don't know anyone like that at all. So I just I just like had to code them myself to the show. Maybe one day I'll have someone like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. It's funny. Like I don't play shows. I've played one show in the past, but
With
I've
Alaskan tapes.
yeah, as Alaskan
Okay,
Tapes.
cool.
And I've always thought about trying to do a light show when I do end up playing live, but I want to do it with projections and stuff, and
Yeah.
change the projections based on the MIDI notes that I'm playing. I don't know if it's possible. I'm sure it is, but
It has
it's
to be.
it's
I
gonna
just
be a whole thing.
Yeah, it's like you have to dive into the world, like, when you do it. It's totally possible. I know for a fact though that I don't have a computer that can handle video stuff well. So that's why I was like, okay, I'll just stick to these MIDI coded lights, like, and not like tack on more to my like laptop's processing power.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I have like not an old laptop, but it's like it's getting there. So yeah, that's I almost wanted to do projections for my show too, but I think the club's like a little too small.
Oh, for sure. I think it's the way to go for ambient music, at least.
Hmm.
You don't really want a light show at, at an ambient show, right? Like going crazy and stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe you
yeah.
do, but um, but yeah, that's amazing. When is the show?
The show is January 29th, 2021. I don't know if this will come out before that, after that. It doesn't matter to me, but sorry, January 29th, 2022.
Oh,
Oh,
right.
That's a
right.
mistake.
I didn't even
Misprint.
catch
Yeah, I didn't catch it.
that.
Yeah. Um
Amazing.
but yeah, it's a few days after the album's anniversary. I think it came out on January 22nd of 2021. But yeah, and then I have vinyl that I just made for the show,
Oh,
because
nice.
a bunch of people have been asking about Tundra on vinyl, and some people about the first record too, which I really want to do. And I'm glad I got to do for Tundra. The first record, it's funny. I actually was going to bring this up before, but it's an EP. But I think it's, as I evolve with this project, I think it's meant to be an album. So I want to
Yeah.
re-release like a, I don't know if I would call it deluxe version. I probably wouldn't call it that, but essentially a deluxe version with like it's 5 songs, maybe like 8 to 10 songs.
Oh, wow.
I want to re-release it and like add songs to it basically. And I'm just finding the format and the right time to do that. It's definitely on my list of things to do. And I'll totally get around to it because I have like other summer songs spinning around in my head
Hmm.
that I need to get kind of laid out. But right now I'm so busy with the Tundra show, and I'm about to embark to the studio for the third album, so I'm just like, okay, I gotta put that on the back shelf.
For
Yeah.
sure. Do you have any other shows lined up, or is it just this one for now?
So potentially South by Southwest. I have
Oh,
a
nice.
friend who is potentially putting together like a post rock ambient type show for South by, because he's a Texas guy and he knows all those venues and people and whatnot.
Yeah.
And if he has it, if he ends up going through with it, I'm totally gonna play. But it's just getting confirmation on stuff. But other than that, nothing right now. I'm trying to go about this project a little differently. I'm not trying to like grind on live shows as much. I want to play them and I love them with all my heart, but unless they're like local shows, it's hard because touring, like DIY touring with some of the past projects that I've been in, it's been like kind of soul draining, and it just made me realize like how integral booking agents are and like support tours and stuff like that. So I'm kind of waiting for the right opportunity because it all has to make sense, and I have to like financially not go completely
Yeah.
For
under, touring's
sure.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I've never been on tour, so I don't know from experience, but it seems
Seems
brutal.
like a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, some of my friends talk about it, and they're like,
But it
th-
sucks because like playing live, everyone says they enjoy that. Like they love
yeah, the
playing
actual
live.
playing part is
Yeah.
amazing,
But like
but
the tour in general is
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
a lot.
waiting.
Yeah, it's not meant for everybody.
Yeah.
It's so not meant for everybody. You have to rough it to a certain degree, and you have to be okay with roughing it, and just like kind of not like used to living in chaos, but like you just have to be comfortable and know like what's in your realm of possibility and not like good things or bad things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So once you kind of just get used to it, you can kind of excel, but it really isn't meant for everybody, and that's okay. Or if it is meant for people, like it's meant for them at various different levels, because some people, like want to stay in a hotel every night, and that's like totally cool. Like I want to stay in a hotel every night too, but sometimes you just got to sleep in the van or sleep in
Yeah.
the bus, like in a Walmart parking lot, and
Exactly.
it gets to be like that sometimes. And yeah, I don't know. It's basically like I'm okay with doing all that stuff as long as I'm not just like coming home losing like thousands of dollars. Like, you know what I mean? And also like I'm not waiting, but I'm working hard so that other people can see the value, and hopefully someone's nice enough to ask me to be their support on the tour, or whatnot. Just trying to see what makes the most sense, because I feel like as you get older, you have to be more calculated about
Yeah.
these types of decisions.
Yeah,
For
for sure. It's pretty cool hearing, like, you seem to be planning out Secret Gardens really nicely.
Mhm.
Like you're not rushing anything too much. You already know your next steps. You already have the probably the spring and fall albums like in your head.
Yeah.
You know those are coming, and you're waiting for the touring, and just it seems like the planning is just right. You know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
And
trying for. I mean, I really don't know all the answers and stuff. I just have like I've experienced and I've just fucked up in the past, like to where I've learned something from it, kind
Yeah.
of. So, that's really all I can go off of. But thank you. That's like really nice of you to say. I try my best to like set goals and do what creatively inspires me, and above like, like I have to work a normal job like everyone else. Like I
Yeah.
have to, you know, do the groceries and do the laundry and,
yeah,
like everyone else, and I have crap to take care of. But this is like what I do for fun, and what I try to make it like my main thing, because I don't know, my brain is just creatively geared towards stuff like that. So I don't know if it's like me being really good at planning, or if it's just me being obsessed. Like I have no idea.
and that's a good
Either
point.
way, it's working.
Yeah, it's funny
Thank
because
you.
not a lot of other people have that sort of mindset. A lot of people just go with the flow, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
They'll plan the next album, but other than that, they're like, I don't know what I'm doing next. And I've always been one of the people that, I'm planning three albums ahead.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so it's really nice to hear that you're not maybe not three albums ahead, and maybe I'm not either at this point.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, there's some degree of like, well, it's like I can plan stuff I know I have control over.
Yeah.
So like I can sit here at my work desk with my interface monitors, guitars, like Kemper and synths and keyboard. Like I could make as many records as I want right here. All it does is it just takes time, but I know how to do them. I know how to mix them, and I usually send them out to get mastered, and they like turn around pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have that realm of control, so I can plan for stuff like that. But all this other industry stuff that depends on other people, that's pretty hard to plan. So yeah, in that sense, it's in that sense I'm not thinking 3 albums ahead.
For
But
sure.
like studio recording wise, like, and just making the best music I can, I am trying to think like 3 albums ahead. So it's like this weird like in between. But that's
Yeah.
awesome. Like I love that some other people aren't just like vibing it out, because I always am like, how are you like super successful if you're just vibing it out all the time?
Yeah, this is what I wonder
crazy.
too. Like, it's almost like they don't care. Obviously, they do, but it's like I'm looking
They
at
just
some
have so
people.
much confidence in themselves. That's
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
they
maybe,
just, like-
maybe they just
Also,
know
it's
they're gonna be
crazy
big.
because like social media makes stuff seem so much different
Yeah.
than how it might actually be in someone's camp. So that's why I try to like just talk to people, like just check in with my like peers that I've like met over the years and just see what's actually up with them.
Yeah,
Because it always like breaks down that barrier of like, oh, they're so successful and they're not, and I don't know. It's a weird comparison game that happens.
Yep.
yeah, and it's interesting when you start thinking about like the success. How successful somebody is, because somebody who I think is ultra successful might still not be successful in their own eyes, and it's this whole
Yeah.
weird mental battle with yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
it's such a mental health, like, I don't want to say crisis within the like music or even just the creative community in general, but it's just such a like a reworking of like how just like how to socially interact and perceive other people on a like a creative like form, or by anything like art, music. Like you could be a book writer and you could be like, oh, that person's written like 8 books, like, and I'm struggling to write one, like,
Yeah.
what the hell. It's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing, and I really try to reel myself in, or like hold myself accountable, or like talk to people about it so that they can be like, all right,
Yeah.
back here. It's not that deep.
That's amazing. That's really smart of you to do.
Yeah, it's good that you have that social support too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's gotten bad before in the past, and yeah, I encourage like anyone listening, or anyone any one of you guys, like, totally just talk to someone, because it's probably not as like crazy as it seems.
That's
you
great
know,
advice. I
or
don't take
they've
that
gone
enough.
through like
Yeah.
struggle that's actually like a million times like crazier than yours, and you just didn't hear about it. Like I don't know. Life is random and chaotic and meaningless, but also
Yeah.
awesome.
Exactly. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also awesome. Um, besides music and hiking and that type of stuff, do you have anything else that sort of brings you inspiration and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely video games
Oh,
for
cool.
sure. Weirdly enough, like oh man, um, weirdly enough, like I mean not weirdly enough, but like some of the games that are more like fleshed out than, in my opinion, like some movies. Like you ever play The Last of Us?
Hmm.
Yeah, The Last of Us. Like I think if it wasn't for that game, I probably wouldn't make music that sounds the same. It wouldn't have like the. I feel like it wouldn't be as in touch with my emotions.
Amazing.
Like say if I'm 90% in touch with them, maybe it would knock it down to like a 70%. I don't know. That really that series of games really inspired me
Hmm.
over the years, and other stuff like that. Just video game soundtracks, like
Yeah.
the people who work on these games tirelessly, and just I don't know. I have a lot of like nostalgic, like we were talking about before, like growing up with like country music, and if that's your thing.
Hmm.
Like I grew up with a lot of video game music and
Okay.
like scenery, like Ocarina of Time, that Zelda game on N64, like just that kind of stuff like is in my brain forever. It will never go away.
Amazing.
Uh that's just like a silly example, but I don't know, that kind of stuff actually really has taken a great deal of influence. Yeah, I mean it's really just music, nature, video games. I mean my own emotions definitely play like a huge part in like what gets written and what doesn't get written, because it's like I've always described Secret Gardens as like this weird like funneling of my own emotions down through the funnel, like, and the funnel is like nature and like hiking and the stuff I've seen and the places I've been.
Okay,
So it's
cool.
like a sort of mix of that stuff on, and it just comes out into a track. And I know it's crazy to talk about that because most of it doesn't have vocals, because I'm not really like, I am a lyricist and I am a singer, but I don't think I have like a voice that can sing on most stuff I write.
Okay,
There's
yeah.
there's definitely stuff I write that could probably work with my range of vocals. And then there's stuff I write that works with other people I have, like other people I know's like vocals. Like that song Stillness
Yeah.
on Tundra, that worked out perfectly, and that was like meant to be exactly how it is, and Aaron was the perfect person for it. And that kind of stuff, which is, oh man, it's so awesome to make stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, that's amazing. I love that, hearing different people's sort of, yeah, influence and inspiration.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, The Last of Us is what got me into sort of walking simulator games. You know those?
Oh
Like,
really? What are some you're playing?
like What Remains of Edith Finch, and what else? I don't know. That's the one that comes to mind because it's so good.
Yeah.
Um,
Dude, I have to play that stuff.
it's there's no mechanic, right? Like it's all just story. It's like watching a movie, but you're just
Mm-hmm.
moving the character. And I think that's what I like about it. I can't sit and play a game for 10 hours
Yeah.
when nothing's happening. Like I almost feel bad. It's like I'm not getting inspired by this, so why am I doing it?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
but when you play games like that, it's like you're reading a story or reading a book or something. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I totally agree. I have to try that stuff out. You're like a Steam guy? You've
Yeah.
been okay. I just got a PC from my buddy, but the only catch is that the graphics card is like totally fried, but everything else
Oh.
works great. Like
Yeah.
I popped in a friend of mine's like great graphics card, and everything else worked totally fine. So
Oh,
I just
okay.
need to get a new graphics card, and then bam, I'll have like a PC ready for like gaming and stuff.
Nice.
But that's probably
Amazing.
gonna be something try to get over Christmas. We'll see.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, hopefully you'll find some good sales on it or something.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
but yeah, those types of games are great because they're really short. right? Like you can finish it in 2 hours and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're cheap and they're just indie made and they're fun. I love them. I haven't played
Yeah.
much lately, but yeah. Um,
I'll have to try that out, man. I'm probably gonna hit you up and ask you about that when the time comes.
absolutely,
It's
yeah.
like I love a good story. I don't need to be like having crazy like guns and loadouts and like upgrades and stuff. Like I love that stuff too, but if it really moves me, oh, you know another really inspiring game in the past like 6 months I played. Do you play Ori? Like Ori in the
Ori.
Wilderness or Ori in the Blind Forest?
I feel like I've heard of it, but no.
Oh, those soundtracks and those visuals. Oh man, I think you would like them just based on what I've heard from you. They're like every melody is just so inspiring and like
Really?
so like grandiose or just cinematic in the most perfect like delicate way. Oh,
We'll have to
so
look
good.
that up.
Yeah,
Like
we'll have to look it up.
way too much production went into that game. Like
Aw.
they didn't have to go that hard, but I'm so glad they did because it's just the visuals are just like these beautiful like mix of colors and intense and like dark but also bright at the same time and like really dynamic, and so are the soundtracks to go with it. Like
Oh,
That sounds
amazing.
beautiful.
It reminds me of that game that you used to play, Chantel.
When
It's you're a cube.
yeah, I was thinking about that one the other
oh
day. I love that
What's it
soundtrack.
called?
I feel like it's like David something.
Someone's lost.
It's
or
just
something?
shapes. Yeah, like something
Ah,
lost.
I'm not gonna be able to remember.
No, I don't know. But the graphics were nothing. It was just different shapes, and it was kind of like a puzzle game.
that's
But
kind
the
of cool.
soundtrack to it, like it was so emotional. There was no singing. It was
Yeah.
all like
Mhm.
ambient kind of music, cinematic kind of music, and it was just
I think
it pulled on my heartstrings.
that's the first game soundtrack that you probably
yeah
really listened
that
to.
I
Maybe.
ever
Yeah, that
Wow.
and in the same vein of like all that stuff, another game is Hollow Knight. Definitely
I've
really
heard of that.
Hollow Knight definitely really inspired me. All these games are like, or actually no, some of them aren't like indie games, and some of them are. But yeah,
Hmm.
another really great game with great soundtrack, great visuals, really inspiring.
A lot of things we'll have to look up after.
Yeah, for real. Oh man, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, to wind it down, slowly. Is there anything else that you want to, talk about or pitch or
Or give advice
give
for
advice
people who
for?
are just getting
I'll-
into the music careers.
I mean, hey, why not? I could chat about this kind of crap all day. It seems like, yeah. I mean, to give advice to anyone listening, if I'm on any sort of platform to give advice, I guess I would just say like you have to go with what you really care about. Like you have to, and that might take some like mistakes to figure out like what you really care about musically and artistically. And just like go with your passion. It's what everyone says, but it's just so true. Like you're gonna get caught up so far down the line with something you hate if you're going with something you're just like not too keen on. So you really have to like just pursue what you actually really care about,
Yeah.
and not. It's hard because like you have to be open-minded too, and you have to like figure out your level of comfort when collaborating with anyone, and just another level of how to be social with people. There's also like musically, like you can have a conversation with someone, you say hi, how are you, and you can hang out with someone and you figure out what you want to do and what they want to do. Maybe they want to go to the bar, maybe you don't, or like you give and take and stuff like that. There's versions of that musically, like maybe I want to go back to this chorus here. Maybe I want to throw in more production elements at the end there. Like maybe he's not cool with that. Maybe I am. Maybe we can meet in the middle.
Hmm.
Like you have to figure out your level of that on so many aspects. But then once you do and you know your comfort zone, like you can push outside of it sometimes, but most times just stay with your gut, I would say. I guess is that advice? I don't know
Yeah,
if that's
I
good
love
advice.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I
I
wish
could be totally wrong.
for sure. I wish somebody told me that like way back in the day.
Yeah.
I remember collaborating with people for the first times and letting them sort of do their thing, and then it's about to come out and I'm just like, I hate this
Yeah.
song and my name's on it.
Yeah.
you
Shit.
know? Thankfully,
Yeah.
that's only ever happened a handful of times, maybe not even a handful. Um, but I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, trying my best. We're all just trying our best
Yeah.
here, right? Like,
Exactly.
damn. I mean, I don't know.
And yeah, well, thank you again, man.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
so
no
much.
problem, no problem. Thank you guys.